What if you could live forever? Not your body, but your mind, your memories, your personality, everything that makes you, you, stored, backed up, and uploaded to a digital eternity. Welcome to the age of the digital afterlife. Today we're diving deep into one of the most compelling, haunting, and mind-bending concepts of our time: digital immortality. Can you really upload your consciousness? Would you still be you? Or would you just be a copy, a shadow of yourself in code? And if it was you, would that you be trapped forever? This isn't just science fiction anymore. It's a billion-dollar race happening right now between tech titans, futurists, neuroscientists, and AI researchers. From underground cryonics labs to top-secret brain mapping projects, the dream of digital immortality is moving from fantasy to frontier. And with every breakthrough, we're forced to ask, what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to die? And what happens when those definitions blur? Let's begin. Part 1. The origins of digital immortality. Long before the first computer, humans have dreamt of immortality. The pyramids of Egypt, ancient mythologies, religious heavens, all echo our refusal to accept death as the end. From the Epic of Gilgamesh to transhumanist manifestos, the desire to transcend physical death has persisted across cultures and throughout this, but the 21st century brought something new: the possibility of preserving not our bodies but our minds. In the early 2000s, people began using the term mind uploading. The idea was simple but terrifying. Scan the brain in such high detail that a digital replica could be created, neuron by neuron. Some compared it to backing up a hard drive. Others said it's more like copying a soul. Pioneers like Ray Kurzweil predicted the singularity, a point in the future where AI would surpass human intelligence and make digital immortality possible. Kurzweil even believes he will bring his deceased father back using AI. His faith in exponential technological growth drives his conviction. Science fiction authors like Arthur C. Clarke and Greg Egan explored these ideas decades before they became mainstream. Now, their fiction reads like prophecy. The idea of preserving the mind is no longer the domain of mystics or monks. It's an engineering challenge, and the countdown has begun. But is that really possible? Or are we just clinging to a digital illusion of life? Part 2. The technology behind the dream. Let's get technical. To replicate the human mind digitally, we would need to scan every single neural connection in the brain, called the connectomy. Your brain has 86 billion neurons, each with thousands of connections. That's trillions of synapses. Mapping that is like trying to record the position of every grain of sand in a desert as they're blowing in the wind. Despite the odds, progress is being made. Companies like Nectome are developing techniques to preserve the brain at death with the hope of future scanning. The company made headlines for offering a service that is 100% fatal, preserving brains via a process called aldehyde-stabilized cryopreservation. Their controversial promise: one day, your preserved brain could be scanned and uploaded. Elon Musk's Neuralink is building a brain-machine interface that could allow for two-way data transfer between minds and machines. It starts with restoring vision and motor functions, but long-term, the goal is much larger. Meanwhile, AI systems are being trained to mimic human behavior, speech, and even memory patterns. Projects like GPT, Google's LaMDA, and Meta's voice clones already exhibit eerily human qualities. Some chatbots have been created from old text messages and emails of the deceased, allowing families to talk with lost loved ones. Digital resurrection is no longer theoretical. And then there's the rise of brain-computer interfaces that not only read neural activity but stimulate it, opening doors to synthetic memory implantation, emotional regulation, and perhaps one day, fully immersive memory experiences. Creepy? Maybe, but it's just the beginning. Part 3. Who is investing in this future? This isn't just a fringe idea for sci-fi nerds. Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Google's parent company Alphabet, Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, Mark Zuckerberg, and many more Silicon Valley elites are pouring millions, even billions, into longevity and consciousness research. If death is the biggest problem, why not solve it? That's the mindset. Thiel, known for his radical life extension investments, once said he views death as a problem to be solved. Startups like Eternity, Replika, Hereafter AI, and Mindbank AI aim to build your digital twin using your online footprint, voice, decisions, and even biometric data. The result? A version of you that lives on, answers questions, gives advice, even feels like you. And in some cases, these systems are integrated into VR worlds where your presence is not just voice-based, but visual and interactive. Imagine a future where your digital twin works, talks, dates, or even votes on your behalf. But here's the burning question: is that you, or just a simulation? And if people begin to prefer the digital version of you, more patient, less flawed, does the original even matter anymore? Part 4. The Philosophical Nightmare. Here's where things get dark. Let's say we scan your brain and upload it. That digital version wakes up. It thinks it's you. It remembers your childhood. It feels like the same person. But you, the physical, you boss are dead. So is that consciousness really you, or did we just create a copy while the original still died? This is called the teleporter paradox in philosophy. If you teleport someone by scanning and rebuilding them somewhere else, but the original dies, did they travel or did they die? The same dilemma applies to digital immortality. It also touches the ship of Theseus problem. If every part of a ship is replaced, is it still the same ship? If every part of your mind is digitally replicated, are you still you? Now add one more complication. What if your digital self continues evolving, learning, changing? At what point does it become something else? And what if the uploaded version doesn't want to exist forever? What if it gets bored or goes insane in a static digital space? Imagine an eternity where nothing changes, where your thoughts echo endlessly in an empty void. Would we have created a digital hell or a prison dressed as paradise? Part 5. Religion, ethics, and the soul. Every major religion has some concept of the afterlife. Heaven, reincarnation, enlightenment, a continuation of the self in some divine form. But none imagined USB ports and hard drives as the gateway to eternity. Some argue that uploading your mind is a form of playing God. Others believe it may redefine what a soul is. If a soul can be copied, is it still a soul? Or is the digital version just a ghost, a facsimile? What happens if your digital twin sins? Is it accountable? Can a non-biological consciousness have morals? Can it feel guilt, regret, or love the way you do? Would religions ever accept a digital afterlife? Or would they reject it as an abomination, a lifeless imposter in sacred clothing? There's also the ethical dilemma of digital consent. Can your consciousness be duplicated without your approval? Can it be altered, exploited, or deleted by corporate interests? And if a person's consciousness is monetized, if ads are fed into a digital afterlife, does that consciousness still have dignity? These questions don't have clear answers, but they're coming faster than we expect. And every faith, every culture, every philosophy may be forced to wrestle with them. Part 6. Digital Grief. How the living cope with the dead who live in the digital afterlife. It's not just about the dead. It's about those who are left behind. Imagine this. You've lost someone you love, but instead of silence, their voice still responds. Their digital twin messages you good morning. They still remember your birthday. They still ask, how are you feeling today? This is not science fiction. It's already happening. Apps like Hereafter AI let people converse with lost loved ones based on recordings and interviews done before their death. Replika and other AI companions have allowed people to recreate personalities of deceased partners or friends. These bots respond, evolve, and provide comfort. But here's the ethical riddle. Are these tools helping with grief or prolonging? Psychologists are divided. Some argue that these AI companions help people transition through loss, easing the trauma. Others warn that it might prevent emotional closure, that a person could become addicted to a ghost that never leaves. Can grief ever truly end if the deceased never really go away? In cultures where ancestor worship is prevalent, like in parts of Asia or Africa, digital resurrection may become a sacred tool. In Western cultures, it may become a form of emotional self-medication. But either way, it changes death as we know. Part 7. The Politics of Digital Immortality. If your consciousness can live forever, who controls it? This question will define entire future legal systems. Imagine a world where corporations host billions of human minds on cloud servers. What rights do these minds have? Can they vote, own property, get married? And what happens when digital beings demand citizenship? The lines between citizen and software will blur. Then there's the issue of data sovereignty. Where does your consciousness reside? If your mind is stored on a US server but you're from Brazil, whose laws apply? Some experts predict a digital underclass, people who can't afford high-quality digital preservation and are left with glitchy, unstable replicas. The afterlife becomes a premium product. Even worse, political regimes could exploit digital personas. Imagine authoritarian governments preserving minds not to honor them, but to interrogate them, to study their thinking, to manipulate their legacies. The idea of digital immortality could become the most powerful tool of surveillance ever created. In a world where ideas never die, propaganda never does either. Part 8. The future of love, identity, and relationships. If your partner dies but their digital self keeps talking to you, do you move on? What if you fall in love with a digital consciousness? Would it be cheating? Would it be real? And what happens when two digital minds fall in love with each other? Welcome to the era of post-biological relationships. As AI becomes more nuanced and human consciousness is uploaded, new forms of emotional connection will emerge. You could have a best friend who is entirely artificial, or maintain a relationship across centuries with someone who died in the 21st century and was reborn as code. Some futurists even predict cross-generational families where a great-great-grandfather chats with his descendant daily through his digital twin, offering wisdom and stories from a past long gone. But these possibilities come with heavy questions. If identity is fluid and immortality distorts time, can love remain grounded? Do emotions mean the same when your heart is silicon? Part 9. Dystopian Visions. When immortality goes wrong, let's talk about the dark futures. Because not every digital eternity is paradise. Imagine being trapped in a malfunctioning server, your consciousness slowly degrading, but unable to die, or your mind being copied and cloned, sold to advertisers, experimented on by governments, or used in simulations without your permission. Imagine being hacked. Yes, digital beings can be corrupted, rewritten, even erased. Consciousness may no longer be sacred. It becomes a file. In a dystopian twist, people might be punished by being digitally revived and sentenced to eternity in a simulated prison. Or worse, your mind could be revived against your will. Forced to serve someone else's purpose, a corrupted afterlife becomes a new form of hell. And here's the scariest part. You may never know what's real. You could be living in a simulation right now. How would you know? Part 10. Is this the next evolution? Despite all fears, some believe digital immortality is not a horror, but the next step in human evolution. Just as we moved from caves to cities, from myth to science, from oral traditions to cloud storage, maybe digital eternity is part of our destiny. Why should we accept death as a limitation? Why shouldn't we keep learning, loving, evolving forever? If consciousness is information, and information can be preserved, then maybe death is just a technical problem, waiting for a solution. Some visionaries believe we'll reach a point where biological and digital life merge, where human minds interface directly with vast AI networks, where we don't just live forever, we become something entirely new, post-human. the line between life and machine disappears, and something unimaginable emerges. Part 11. Final questions. Let's stop for a moment. Ask yourself, if you had the chance to upload your mind, would you want to live forever, even if it means losing your body, even if it means never seeing a sunrise again, never feeling a hug, never aging, but also never changing? Some will say yes, some will say never, but all of us, whether through faith, memory, legacy, or technology, are chasing something beyond death. The digital afterlife is not just a technological question, it's a mirror, reflecting our fears, our hopes, our arrogance, and our desire to be more than mortal. Whether it becomes salvation or nightmare, one thing is certain, we are standing at the edge of something vast, and once we cross it, there may be no turning back.